Hey folks, my name is Jake, and this is Bandit. He's my Poshy, Pomeranian Shetland Sheepdog cross, and he's a cute dog, and I really like him. And some of you guys have seen him in past videos, and you're asking how he's doing, and you're doing fine, aren't you? It'll be his 7th birthday this summer, so in about 3 or 4 months. And he's a good, happy, middle-aged dog. Yeah. Today we're taking a look at something brand new. This is a new knife by GANZO. They started a whole new series of knives. They are now working with designers. And so this is their first in the Adimanti line. And that's the branding that they're going to use. It's hard figuring out what the name of the model of this is because there's conflicting information about what the name of the model is, even just on GANZO's websites. And what GANZO website says is different than what most reviewers are saying, so I'll go over that. But this is a knife that's done by a designer who's recognized. Ruslan Skimen is the designer of this knife. We've got a frame lock G10, or you can get the carbon fiber laminate. It's got a unique glass breaker, a ceramic ball bearing for the glass breaker, so it's not sharp at the back. We've got a D2 blade with a, they're calling it a drop point. I'm calling this a spear point, especially with this false edge up here. I'm calling that a spear point edge. And, that's the basics of this knife. So let's get this thing onto the tabletop, look at the details, and talk about GANZO, and especially about this knife, because I rarely watch reviews, but I watched a few reviews of this knife, and it seems that most reviewers are just reacting against the price and not really seeing that this is a fair bit more than what you get in a basic GANZO knife. So let's see that. Stick around. Now, let's begin with the basics before I do a size comparison. It says Adimanti on the box. It's clearly a GANZO box, and it even says on the knife, made by GANZO, China GANZO Tools Limited, product knives brand Adimanti. So that's the brand, clearly, is Adimanti. GANZOknife.com is where you can see it. And then back here, let's get it to focus on this. Model, it says it's the Skimen PL, and that's for the purple one. So GANZO here is saying that the model is Skimen-PL, and on their website, they say it is the Skimen model, okay? But a lot of people are saying that this knife is the NEFORMAT, and that's because on the blade here, it says NEFORMAT /D2 Skimen design made by GANZO. And nowhere at all on GANZO's website does it have the word NEFORMAT anywhere at all. And yet it's in bold capital letters here. So I'm not sure. Maybe the model name of this thing really is the NEFORMAT. It makes sense, but that's not what GANZO says. On this side, it says Adimanti. How big is this knife compared to the Ontario Rat 1? So blade length, well, from the pivot point is shorter, but the actual blade length, if we line them up starting at the sharpener's choil, this guy's longer, very clearly. And if we start the handle at the beginning of the grip here, stick that in there like that, and you come back, if you add this in here, it's fairly close to that rounded area. So I'm calling this a full-size knife. My hands are between large and extra large in Western men's glove sizes, and the knife sticks out just a little bit right there. You can see it's peeking out right there. Reverse grip, it's well in hand, a little bit sticking out there, and it's not bad at all holding like this because it's rounded over right there. Actually, let's get a close-up of the glass breaker right now. So you got ceramic ball bearing, and then you've got a nut here. You take that nut off if you want to remove the pocket clip. And it's very easy to take the pocket clip off that way. If you don't want the glass breaker, you're going to have to find another screw that's got the same thread in order to hold the pocket clip on. You screw it into a piece of steel that's right in between there. One strange thing that I am kind of upset with GANZO about is The way they designed this, you can't make the pocket clip go to the left side. All they would have to have done is removed a little bit of the G10 right there, and you could put this pocket clip over on the other side. Now, if you're a lefty, trust me, you can do this quite easily. All you have to do is get rid of a tiny bit of the G10 there. I would use a small, sometimes they call them jeweler's files, or small file set, and just file it down a little bit. Make it wet when you file it. This has got glass in it. G10 has got glass fibers, like fiberglass kind of fibers. You don't want to breathe that in, so wear a mask. You can easily make that go both ways if you want to. So there's that. Now, the next main concern I hear a lot about is the price. Well, you've got D2 steel, you've got a steel frame lock, you've got a lock bar insert, which, does cost a little bit more. It's more engineering and everything. So they've got hardened steel touching hardened steel, which is really good. Most metal frame locks that you see, just have the frame lock arm touching the blade, but they went that extra mile. It also has an over travel stop built in. You can just barely see it right there. I'll show you a close-up of that spot. So when you push over, it has to stop. So that's kind of nice. I like another little thing. They've got the relief cut for the lock bar arm on the inside instead of on the outside like most are. Here's another knife by Ganzo. As you can see, the relief cut here is on the outside, and it's less attractive, than if you put the relief cut on the inside. And some people are going to balk at that, saying, oh, they do that because of the angle of the interface with the edge here. And, well, the difference between this angle starting from the outside to the point of contact or starting from the inside to the point of contact, that's less than a degree change. So it really has no significant impact on if you put that on the inside or the outside. So I say put it on the inside. Why not? We've got screws here. I have not taken this knife apart yet, so I don't think it's a locking pivot screw. You've got T8 screw heads on either side, so if they've got Loctite and stuff in there, I might need 2 screwdrivers to turn it stuff. We'll talk about that when I take it apart. G10 handle scales. Like I said, you can get laminate. G10 backspacer. And a nice, somewhat unique kind of hole here for a lanyard. So you go through the G10 right there. So if you take the knife apart, it's really easy to fish some paracord through there. You don't put G10 through there. Paracord. So you can easily get paracord through there, and it doesn't add any bulk. I don't usually use lanyards, so for me, that's really nice because they kept it discreet and hidden in there. All the edges here have been very nicely rounded. I don't see it very often on knives at this price point for them to be this nicely rounded all the way around. Makes it a very comfortable knife in hand. Any grip that I have, this knife is comfortable, and I like that an awful lot. Pinch grip, fist grip, saber grip, reverse grip, even a reverse grip is fairly comfortable. We've got some weight reduction on the inside of the knife here, and we'll see that when I take the knife apart. The pocket clip, like I said, is right side only, but it's nice and deep because the screws are here. You got a nice smooth section for it to slide on over the pants. Like this. And it just slides on very nicely all the way in there. And it just is nice and discreet that way. You can't see an awful lot of the knife. So the pocket clip, although I tend to like when it flattens out instead of just going up, it just works very, very well. It works on denim and it works on finer slacks as well. One thing that I find kind of strange is this is made by Ganzo, but if you take a look at these frame lock knives, one thing that I noticed that's quite a bit different, and these are older, these are a few years old. I started my channel almost 4 years ago, and I've done over 100 reviews on Sanran Muse and a little bit less than 100 of Ganzo knives that I've reviewed. And check out how thin this cut line is here. Like knives that are several $100s tend not to have this technology. This is a very narrow cut by wire EDM process. Whereas in here on this knife, it's bigger, like a lot of knives are, the bigger space. I like how clean this looks when you've got that very thin line right there on the frame lock. So I really wish they would have done that here. And at Ganzo, if you're listening, change that. Go back to this technology right here. Now this knife is quite nice as well. I really like this look. You've got a satin finish. You've got a saber grind and then a false edge here. A little bit of jimping up here so that you can get grippy. The corners kind of chamfered on there and softened up here as well. So it's a fairly, it keeps the main thickness of the blade until about the last quarter or the last third, and then it starts tapering to the point. So the tip is very good for piercing, and the edge is a very long, gentle belly, except for the last little bit is straight. So it's a really good slicing knife. This is a very good EDC knife, everyday carry. It's going to be able to do almost anything that you ask it to do, what any pocket knife should ever need to do. I think this knife can pretty much do it. And the G10 back here's got that sort of negative jimping in there, so you get a little bit of texture into your palm of your hand to help grip it. They've got a cutaway of the frame lock here, so it's easy to access the lock release, and then it's a bit chamfered there as well. Very easy to, flip this knife open and close it, and with either the right or left hand. That's why I really wish they would have made the pocket clip go left or right. So a very comfortable knife to use. The flipper tab's got some jimping right there, so it works great for light switch method, and it works very good if you push just a little bit on angle, push down method, the blade comes out. The detent is near perfect, what I would want a knife like this to be. Lockup is pretty much perfect, exactly what I want lockup to be. Alignment is almost perfect. And it's comfortable. Everything's nicely rounded. You've got a little bit of a sharpener's choil in here. I do wish the sharpener's choil was a little bit bigger, but it's not bad. And the texture on the side of the knife on the G10 adds some grip without becoming overly grippy. Very, very nice. And now let's see. This is going to be my first time taking this apart. Let's see how difficult it is to take this apart. Yeah, it feels like it wants to turn along. Yeah, it's turning along on the other side. Let's try this side, see if it turns along if I do this one. Yes, it's turning along, and that's what I dislike. So I'll show you what remedy I use. If you've watched my channel before, you've seen the small vise that I have, a little table vise that I clamp on and that I can put a screwdriver on either side. Another way to do that is something like this. And this is just a strong spring clamp, and that can hold your knife as well. And so when you're holding your knife, you then take 2 T8 screwdrivers and put them in there, and that way one can hold still while the other one turns. And yes, they use thread locker. Ganzo, I don't like it that you do that, but I got it loose. Now that would have been very hard to do without something to hold the knife. Something like this or something else. It really would have caused a problem. I do like the vise better than this, but this is better than nothing. Oh no, I scratched up that G10. I can remedy that a little bit. It's not going to look that bad the whole time. A little bit of oil on there, actually. Yeah, actually oil a little bit of G10, and it can fix those little things or hide them. Even just using the oils from my skin, you can just sort of rub it, and it's mostly gone already. And so, not a big deal, but it's a big enough deal that I'm upset with myself for doing that. Okay, back to this knife. We're taking it apart here. It just so happens that just my regular screwdriver end fits on there. It's a little bit loose, but I found it to be good enough to be able to take that off without stripping it at all. So it's not the proper size driver, but it works. There's the glass breaker, and there's the hole that it sits in. If you're left-handed and you want to get want the pocket clip on the left side, It's just that tiny bit of purple G10 right there that you need to file off. I would, of course, take this out of the way so that you can see exactly what you're doing, and just file that little bit out, and you'll be able to do it on the left side. GANZO, you should have done this at the factory. You should have made it so it's left. That's a tiny bit of work. At $43 US for this knife, they should have done that. Here you can see the skeletonizing here with these little holes. They could have done even more. It's not a heavy knife. There's the lock bar insert. And the steel detent ball. Quite nice. And then the over travel stop right there, the protection. So it only goes so far. And here's the ball bearings. And now I'm going to put it back together. So I've put it back together, but I put it back together the wrong way with the pocket clip. I just wanted to show you, if you don't remove the G10, then your pocket clip is going to sit like this if you put it on the left side. You've got to remove that little bit of material if you want it to sit flat and actually grip. So let's fix this up here. And do not over tighten. That's how you strip things and wreck them. And see, now it grips properly. You know, they've put extra expense in R&D to make this section back here, you know, with the pocket clip and the glass breaker the way it is and the lanyard. All that section back here, that took, you know, a fair bit of R&D expense. And I'm glad they invested it. And they've made a very nice knife that just has a few little cons. So let's go over all of the sizes, dimensions, all the stats and that information. The weight of this knife, 118 grams, which is 4.15 ounces. The balance point on this knife is right there. So if they would have made it much lighter in the handle, then, you know, the balance point would move this way. And you don't really want it to move that way too far. Factory sharpness on the cutting edge here, 165 best. Very good. 200 and less is good. Smaller is better. The blade depth, about 2.54 centimeters, 1 inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, 0.43 millimeters, which is 17 thousandths of an inch. Very, very good. Oh, I didn't measure the grind angles yet. I'll measure the grind angles and put it on the screen. Usually most companies target about 20 degrees per side. And you can compare with what you see on the screen with what it is. I don't really mind that much what it is because the first time I sharpen it, I can make it whatever angle I want. I'm not that concerned, and I try to get this over to my viewers. Don't worry too much about how sharp a knife is from the factory. All it tells you is a little bit about how much attention to detail they do at the factory, but it doesn't change the value of the knife. Instead, the quality of the steel and the shape of the blade, because you can sharpen it yourself. And if you can't, you can have somebody else sharpen it, or you can learn how to sharpen it. And then the knife can last for years and years and years instead of just until the factory edge goes dull. Like, nobody throws out a knife when the factory edge goes away, do they? If you do, just learn how to sharpen it. Now you've got a knife for many, many, many years. Back to the point of dimensions. Handle. The handle length right here, and I didn't count the glass breaker section at the end, just this G10 size here. 11.56 centimeters, 4.55 inches. So good size handle. The grip area between my thumbs here, it's about 9.6 centimeters, which is about 3.78 inches. So basically 3 3/4 inches of grip, which is fully adequate. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, 1.136 centimeters, which is 0.447 of an inch, so under half an inch. Very good. The handle depth, that's this dimension, and it's biggest right back here. Again, 2.54 centimeters, 1 inch. When the knife is closed, the biggest depth is right about there, 3.025 centimeters, which is 1.191 inches. And the total length of this knife is 20.38 centimeters, which is, I forgot to put it in inches, which is right around just 8 inches. If you count the glass breaker, it's just a hair over 8 inches. very, very nice. So you've got a blade that's, 3.625 inches of cutting edge and, a little over 4-inch handle. Nice balance, nice grip, nice design, just a nice layout. This is a very, very nice knife. I'm probably going to be keeping this, especially since I did that little bit of damage there, although that's mostly cleaned up already. And I can clean it up even better later on. It comes in several colors. I like this knife. Is it worth $43 US? I think so. Where can you find this knife? Not very many places. I got mine from Amazon.com, and you can too. I've got Amazon links down below. If you use my links, you still get the low price, but it helps my channel a little bit. I get a tiny bit of a commission from Amazon. In fact, if you want to buy anything from Amazon, use one of my links to open your browser to the Amazon page and then buy what you want, and it helps out my channel. So thank you very much if you do that. Down at the bottom of the description page, a description list, I've got some of my influencer pages on Amazon for Amazon CA, Amazon.com. My Amazon.co.uk page is not that filled yet, but especially in the United States, Amazon.com, I've got a lot of knives that I've looked over that I can recommend that are on my influencer page for Amazon. Links below. So $43 US. Power Cutlery often has knives from GANZO, but they don't have the Adimanti line yet, any of these. But check there, because once they have it, it's going to be a good price there. That's powercutlery.com. Lowercase CCE is a coupon code with Power Cutlery for GANZO knives only. 5% off. Every 5% helps, doesn't it? $43 US is around 59 Canadian dollars, around 38 euros, around 33 British pounds. And I know it's harder to find this knife outside of North America. If I find links to places outside of North America that have it, I'll try to include them down below. So thanks so much for watching my videos. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.